I'm with Mark Pottorf and Kim Swift. They worked on Quantum Conundrum, as you may know. We announced this title a bit last year, and they're going to tell us a few things, a few key points of interest for our Square Enix members team. Alright, the first question that we have for them is, how is the collaboration process with the dev team? Basically, where do you guys come up with your ideas? Who's the inspiration behind different design decisions, and how do you guys collaborate in terms of getting these things executed and into the game?
So Quantum Conundrum design process is actually pretty unique. Not a whole lot of companies do this, but we're extremely collaborative. We work as a democracy. So I'm the creative director, and he's our lead tech programmery type man.
That's a good description.
Yeah, just put that in a business card. So, and you know, even though we're leads on the team, we have just as much say and input as someone who's not a lead. We all sit down and we put aside a goal for a meeting. So like, let's say we want to teach players how to use the fluffy dimension. And all of us will actually go up to the board and draw an idea for a puzzle, or maybe a gameplay object or something like that, and we vet them amongst the team. One of the reasons why we have a collaborative process on Quantum Conundrum is you get a better sense of the best way to solve a problem, because you have all the different disciplines there looking at it. So maybe the best way to solve a problem or come up with a puzzle is to focus on art, or focus on design, or focus on programming. And so yeah, I mean, we all vote on what we want to do based on whether it's worth the risk or reward, and we have a very transparent process. It's worked really well for us.
Indeed. Not only do we do a formal meeting where we all vote on ideas and such, but it's completely valid for somebody to just implement an idea as they have it. Go talk to an animator or environment artist to get what they need and then put it together into the game. And then after it's kind of in prototype stage, we let everybody see it and say, hey, do you guys like this? And we threw it together last night or whatever, and if people like it, then we just keep it in the game, and if they don't, then we just toss it out.
Is that difficult in terms of like time spent? Like someone implements something and they work really hard on it and everyone's like, this sucks, take it out?
Occasionally people can get their feelings hurt, but generally speaking, everyone knows that the prototype stage should be fairly quick, and so they spend an hour or two getting something in, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, for major features, we have a cutoff point of about a week. It's like, if you can't implement it by yourself, kind of in your off time in your week, and no one's really agreed with you, but you're trying to prove out a particular idea, if it takes you more than a week, then we probably don't have time for it, because you know, our dev cycle's pretty short.
Gotcha. Now, you described it as a democracy, and you said that you vote. Are there any tiebreaker votes?
I am the tiebreaker vote. I have literally had to exercise it one time in the entire development process. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, if you list out exactly, you know, here are the pros and cons for each particular idea, it becomes really obvious very quickly what's the best decision. And we all want the game to be good. We all have the same goal in mind, and so we make the right choices.
Egos rarely come into it, and on our team it's pretty nice.
That was good. Alright, I have another question here about the different dimensions that you guys have implemented in the game. Back at PAX, there was a long discussion you guys had at your panel about having additional dimensions possibly in the works, and different ones that kind of made the chopping block. What made the major decisions as to putting these 5 dimensions in the game as it exists in the outset?
So, fluffy dimension actually started off when I was doing the pitch for our game, like talking back about the collaborative process. Quantum Conundrum was not my decision for us to do the game. Even though I came up with the concept, we all voted on which game we wanted to do, and other team members actually pitched their own ideas, and we put it to a vote. Which one do we want to work on? And Fluffy was my initial dimension to kind of say like, hey, look, it's a clear state change of here things are like normal, and here they are fluffy and plushy and light, and you can throw things around, and having that clear juxtaposition between the dimensions was something that I really wanted. And then we just started brainstorming additional dimensions from there on out, and one of the big reasons why we chose the ones that we did was they were quick to prototype. Like, Mark actually did a lot of the initial prototyping for...
Yeah, we were able to throw both reverse grab and slow-mo in a day apiece, basically. And because we were able to prototype it so quickly, we had a lot of time to play around with it. And we had prototyped some other dimensions as well, but it didn't have nearly as much gameplay emerging from our, messing around process. And so we kind of chose the most gameplay from the fewest number of dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, in our demo, we actually have, the reverse gravity, normal toggling back and forth, and kind of floating a safe across a map, and that was something that was immersion gameplay. We were just kind of fiddling around, and I think it was it Matt that came up with? Matt Saladay, who's our lead environment guy, was just playing around. He was like, oh my god, guys, come take a look at this. And, we all have an open seating situation, so we all work in a bullpen, nobody has an office, and so we all just gathered around his computer, and he was showing us this, and we're like, okay, that needs to be a major feature of our game.
That's very cool.
And a lot of gameplay came out of us just kind of playing around and having a good time with our own technology, and we're like, yep, it's fun, put it in.
Indeed. Another reason that we picked the dimensions we went with is there's some constraints on time, and obviously not every dimension could change every asset in the game because we didn't have that much time. And so we picked a few of the dimensions that would just be post effects, like the slow-mo dimension has the film grain over it and doesn't actually change any of the assets. It's just purely gameplay.
It's old-timey film grain and sepia toned.
Yeah, outside of the asset changing and you said a very short prototyping time, which is actually quite surprising considering the drastic amount of physical changes that take place during each dimension. In terms of balance and gameplay balance, is that probably one of the larger factors determining how many dimensions you had and how many you had to keep out?
Yeah, I mean, it was a matter of, well, what can we implement and what plays nicely with the other dimensions, as well as what we can prototype the fastest and play with. And so we kind of balanced all those factors and came up with our set of 5, normal and fluffy and slow-mo and reverse gravity. And one we haven't announced yet, but we will announce at GDC coming in March.
Yeah, I thought she was going to announce it.
Coming in March.
And yeah, we didn't actually focus all that much on the balance of the dimensions.
Okay.
Honestly, when reverse grav went in, I was pretty skeptical that it would just break a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you can float everything to the ceiling, we had a lot of traversing up puzzles prototyped at the time, and people were like, well, you can just ride a safe up for all of these puzzles. And so we, in our prototyping, found out that it didn't actually break all that much because we can split it out when it's too powerful.
For the batteries,
we take it out and we say, hey, you don't have the battery here. You'll get it later, and so if you need to get back up there, whatever, you do have the dimension to make it easier, but being able to pace out the dimensions in each puzzle was a big help in that, figuring out that balance without actually having to limit ourselves in the dimensions that we picked.
That's really cool insight about the removal of batteries and the insertion of batteries, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
helping keep that balance.
It started off as a design constraint, and we found it was actually really good for leading players around, right? You see this shiny tubular object on the other side of the map, and you're like, oh, I want to go to there.
I know when I first tried the demo, that's the first thing I grabbed. I was like, okay, this must mean something.
Yeah, and we found that it was a good way of leading players around. It was really good for fiction too as well. So one of the interesting things about game design is constraints are your best friend. You come up with the best decisions that way.
Absolutely, especially in those early levels when you're trying to teach people before the true experimentation can take place. All right, I got another question here. What was the inspiration behind all the characters used, like Professor Q, Ike, etc.? How does their role in the story kind of develop the science? How does it explain to the player, or is there additional use of the characters as a major story arc development, things of that nature?
So the initial story with Professor Quadrangle was an idea of mine. I was trying to figure out what was an interesting vehicle for the gameplay, and I was like, well, I like mad scientists and I like science, so I thought it would be really interesting to have a mad scientist professor as one of the major characters in the game. I really wanted you to play as a kid. I don't think there's enough games out there where you play as something other than a dude in his 30s, and so I was like, I kind of want to be a kid and have Professor Quadrangle be this adult figure that you're kind of looking up to and aspiring to. And Ike. I had an idea for Ike. I wanted, a kind of cute creature that is a little unhinged in the head, and the idea that he can see in these multiple dimensions at once is kind of driven him mad. And that's about all the story I brought to the table, and everything else just kind of fleshed itself out. Once again, going back to that collaborative process, I'm like, hey guys, here's an outline. Do we want to do something other than this? And everyone's like, nah, this works. And we're like, okay, right, let's figure out the rest of it. And so when we first started the game, we came up with a basic story outline, like here are the story beats that we want to hit throughout the game, here's what we think is going on, and started to structure the game around it. But when we first started off, it was very loosey-goosey in terms of the story. We were concentrating more on what's fun gameplay-wise. To me, personally, art and story should come second to gameplay. It is a game, after all.
No, I agree with that, but it's also very interesting how much you guys allowed the character artists to implement so much, so fine touches all throughout the game using these characters.
Yeah,
so.
A lot of those side characters, they just whipped up because they wanted to, fill the painting spots in the rooms, and then when we were doing a dialogue pass, we just started making crazy backstories for all the different relatives that you see in the paintings, and Widget and Gidget and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and like our motto for our development has been, hey, wouldn't it be weird and funny if we did this one thing, and we just go ahead and do it? We probably shouldn't sometimes. We're just like, it'll only take like 5 minutes, just do it anyways. So, we definitely have had a lot of fun working on this project because we just laugh and...
Well, it seems to work really well. It's bringing kind of like an instant personality that people can grab onto before they even really know about the game.
Yeah, the team was comprised of very quirky individuals. So.
We're all a little eccentric.
Yeah.
Y'all like science. That's just what you're saying.
We like science and weird things.
The people behind them. I only have one last question for you. Portal 1.
Yep.
You did work on that title.
I did.
If I remember.
Yep, I was the lead designer, and I did the PR. I did a lot of the marketing items, like the plushies, like companion cube, and helped work on the T-shirts.
Mark, did you know this? Did you know that she worked on this?
I had an inkling. I've heard it a couple times.
Oh, okay.
And then what else did I do? I did texture art and helped out Eric with a little bit of the writing. So I was just kind of all over the place on Portal 1.
Thanks. So, obviously these games have a couple similarities in play. One is this kind of the single room puzzle experiment, solving the entryway and exit ways for each room. Basically, based on just that similarity alone, is there some key elements from Portal 1 that you brought to Quantum Conundrum that basically you wanted to see happen in this game, or knew worked really well, and at the same time, are there things in Portal 1 you just would never want to see in this game because you were like, maybe you saw a more unique aspect of this game being sold through the mechanics in here and didn't want to see any replication or duplication of the concepts that Portal 1 gave to the players?
So, well, number one, it's a puzzle game. It's first person, it's an environmental, traversal, platforming type game, and I wanted to do it again because it was so much fun to make in the first place. I'm like, I want to make another one!
Nice.
And we came to Airtight Games, and they were really excited about the idea of making another one of these games, and the team was totally on board, and I had the idea of wanting to make another game that was very modular in terms of having these components that can easily plug in and grow the game. So in our case, we have the different dimensions. So if we wanted to make the game really big, we can add more dimensions and more gameplay objects that interact with each one of those dimensions, making greater and greater permutations of the different gameplay possibilities. In Portal, there was a lot you could do with just the one device, and then adding gameplay objects from there. So that's definitely something that I learned and took from Portal 1 in terms of creating good gameplay that's easy to learn. And then, from there it diverges a lot to me personally. Where our art style is a lot different. We're definitely going for a little more quirky slapstick humor than the dark humor of Portal.
Right.
And I don't know, I just had so much fun making Portal. I just wanted to make more games like it. And to me, there aren't enough out there. Portal was the first of its genre, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there needs to be more. These are fun.
This is genre expanding.
Yeah.
You're helping to grow an idea as opposed to just a title.
Yeah, I hope so.
As far as like the single room puzzles with the entry and exit door, we actually kind of wanted to get away from that a little bit at the start of the
really?
project.
Yeah,
we
we
were
tried.
thinking about going for more, if we had more time, going for more of like a hub-based, where you would actually unlock dimensions in other rooms.
And then
based
bring
on-
those back.
And yeah, so you get Fluffy in one room and you'd be able to kind of
Backtrack and go like to the initial
spread it to
beginning.
another room and then go back.
Kind of like
to that.
Metroid Symphony of the Night Exploration.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. We wanted to, but we kind of ran out of time.
Designing that with all those dimensions and the way that they all work, it was just a serious.
yeah.
Maybe for a sequel, who knows?
It was too ambitious for our current
It was
scope.
intense, so we ended up just going, well, you know, the single room puzzle with entry next door is a really elegant way to do it and
Yeah, and
clears up a lot.
And we also ran into a problem too, as well as players coming in and seeing some sort of gameplay object or thing up in the corner, and they're like, they really want to get to it, and don't realize that they can't get there.
Yeah.
And so they'll thrash on it for a really long time.
They feel like they're doing something wrong as opposed to
Exactly.
the game
And
telling them
so
they
we were
can't do it yet.
You know, we just kind of ended up removing some of those bits. And at one point, we're like, well, you know, players have a really clear set of goals when they come into a room, and it makes it really easy for them to parse together what they need to do, and then it's all about the execution from there on out. And we just found it worked really well.
It does. It does, and it works really fluidly, and I'm really happy to see that implemented, especially for a wide audience. But I do think that other idea sounds really interesting.
We,
So
yeah,
I
we
hope
were
it can
really
be done
excited about
sometime.
it. Like I said, it was just not enough time.
Yeah.
Making sure it all fit together was like a full-time job probably for one person.
Yeah,
So.
I mean we're only a 16-person team, so it's
That-
not like
that's
we have
crazy.
a giant team
And
of
great,
people
but crazy.
chugging away. So yeah, I mean 16 people, less than a year, and we have Conundrum. So
Well, it looks fantastic. Can't wait to see it come out.
yeah,
Can you drop us a release date?
summer of this year, it's going to be on XBLA, PSN, and Steam.
Nice, better than what I was hoping for. So.
Yeah, like I legitimately don't know an exact date, so I'm like summer.
Summer sometime. Well, it sounds like a good summer that we can look forward to. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys later.
See ya.